Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 18th of June, comes to you from London. We start by looking at the dollar index pushing higher again this morning, a strong dollar really being a theme, and we're seeing that playing through with the weaker euro, and we're just teetering along the bottom here after that sharp fall on the ECB. Announcement to the end of quantitative easing last week. So we're seeing that really big fall on the euro there. That was a massive one-day drop and coming back to test the lows. So really still bearish on the euro on the medium and short-term charts. Looking at the Japanese yen, we're seeing here dollar strength really kicking in still. Bullish above the cloud on all three time frames, 2.5% upside potential. Sterling sitting at 132 this morning, pushing lower against the dollar. That dollar strength weighing heavily. And looking at euro, we're seeing here sterling stronger, that weaker euro feeling it there too. Against the Swiss franc, sterling look a little bit stronger, bullish above the cloud, and against the Australian dollar, sitting at 179, sterling strengthening here as well. That medium-term chart is still a bit of a worry for sterling. Looking at Bitcoin. Just further falls this morning, just sitting at 6,500, 6,400, and we are really just constantly just going lower and lower. And this long-term push below the cloud on the long-term chart is worrying for Bitcoin, and so we're seeing these targets as much as 19-20% downside starting to now look quite likely. The US market was fairly flat on Friday. We see for the week we really didn't go anywhere. The weekly candle is very much like a star doji. This could be the signaling of, just interestingly, there's some uncertainty in the US market. Having had this recovery, we've got an uncertain week put behind us. Where will we go this week? So quite often that can be the beginning of a top, so we just need to be aware of that. And looking at the Nasdaq 100, we see also we did push higher. We had a better week on tech stocks, and they did look better last week. But again, we're still just struggling to push really much higher quickly. And if we look at the Dow, we're seeing also that weakness just there on the short-term chart still filtering through. And the broader-based Russell index last week also did push higher. But again, just looks like we might be running a little bit out of steam. It's flat the last few days. Looking at the futures this morning, the S&P futures down a third of a percent. The Nasdaq E-mini also down just over 0.2%. So it does suggest the US market will open lower. FTSE slightly higher this morning, and looking at the 250. We're seeing here we're sinking lower there as well. Taking a look at the DAX falling away here. So quite interestingly there on the DAX we are just pushing lower. On the CAC 40, we are also just looking lower. European equities just pushing lower. Asian equities were down quite significantly. Japan down 1%. Hang Seng down about a third of a percent. So we just, in fact, 0.4% lower. And China, which is the market that we have been worried about, also pushing lower, down two-thirds of a percent. Just starting to come through on that cloud, so we're looking less good there. On the Sensex, we're seeing here we're holding on better than the other Asian markets, and the Australian market also we're just seeing here pushing higher, so looking a bit stronger there. Looking at Brent crude, a really big sell-off on Friday, so we're just seeing that pushing lower, and WTI also really sharp falls there. So oil off very significantly. US nat gas above the $3 level, so that's looking quite good as well. Gold also had big falls on Friday. The stronger dollar really weighing heavily on commodities, so we're seeing the gold price really did just fall quite sharply there, and silver also did sell off, not quite as strongly, but did sell off on Friday as well, and we are sitting lower here. US 10-year yields fell back to 2.91%. And just a quick look at the US tech majors. We had Apple, also just US tech's looking stronger. Apple was down 1% on Friday though, and Amazon had a very strong week, pushing to new all-time highs. Was down 0.5%, which was less than Apple. Google also recovering, but has been the laggard over the last several weeks. On Friday, it just was flat. Facebook holding the mid 190s level, so really looking very strong indeed. Now looking at $200 to break that for the first time, and was down 0.5%, but they're holding on to most of the gains it made in the week. And Microsoft falling back, but just still holding the $100 level, but just turning a little bit short-term bearish there. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.